how's it going today? Chelsea Face here. Today's video is going to be 10 manga series that I have dropped. Dropped means I have either completely given up on the series and I will no longer collect or read digitally or however I was consuming it, or maybe I've just completely lost interest. I don't know if I'll ever pick these up again, but let's just get into it. I want to tell you guys the series that I will no longer be reading probably. The first series is Blank Slate by Aya Kano. This is a shoujo series, I'm pretty sure, and it was at my local library. They had volume 1. I could not get into this. I'll read you a short snippet of the synopsis so that you can kind of get an idea of what it's about. A lot of people like this series, but I personally just could not vibe. What does it take to find your true inner self? Zen's memory has been wiped and he can't remember if he's a killer or a hero. Worse, some people will do anything they can to keep it that way. Zen's unearthly charm attracts a veritable rogues gallery. A bounty hunter becomes obsessed enough to become his new partner, while the daughter of a general treats him like some sort of guru. But when he meets a mysterious doctor who may know him from the past, Zen learns that the secret of his lost memory is definitely more sinister than saintly. That doesn't even sound interesting just reading that to me. I don't know what made me pick it up at the library. I guess I was just in a try everything mood for the day, which I tend to do at the library because everything's free. I recommend checking out your libraries, by the way, if you want to read a lot of manga and try them out first. I honestly just could not get into it. I was so bored from the very beginning and I was very confused. And if this is your favorite series, I apologize, but tell me what is good about it, because I want to know what is good about this series, and maybe it starts to make more sense towards further volumes. As of right now, I have no interest in continuing it. I got probably 90% through the volume and I just could not read anymore, so I will not be continuing the series unless someone changed my mind. These are in no particular order, by the way, they're just random. Number 2 is 5 centimeters per second by Yukiko Seki and Makoto Shinkai. This is like a one omnibus type series, at least published in English. And I liked the beginning of it because it felt like a forlorn romance that might not end very well, but I kind of like sad, maybe morose stories. So I was excited for this to be interesting, but I got like halfway through it and once again I was just not feeling it. I did not care about the characters that much. I didn't believe the story. I didn't feel anything for the guy or the girl in this. I like the idea of the cherry blossoms, that was cute, but I just didn't believe it. I didn't find it very interesting or sweet or romantic, or not even in a sad way interesting. So I will not pick this back up or continue, but if you like it, good. I hope that more folks do like it because I like these like thick omnibus one-shot series. This one's gonna get me some hate probably because I know a lot of people love the anime for this series, and that is Fooly Cooly FLCL, however you say it. I'm not sure what it stands for or what it means because I don't care. This series is by Gainax and Hajime Ueda. I'm gonna read you the synopsis on this one as well because it's crazy. In this surreal sci-fi romp, a sullen Japanese boy finds himself in the middle of an interstellar conspiracy. As Noete Nandava's already depressing home life unravels further, a sexy space assassin becomes his family maid, and his own head becomes a portal for armed robots. Life as he knows it is getting more and more confusing and violent, and he isn't sure who's friend or foe. One thing's for certain though, it's time for him to grow up so that he can save his hometown from malevolent invaders. I know that sounds like coherent enough to most people where you can understand okay, this is weird, but I get what's happening. The manga is nothing like that. You cannot understand a single plot line, a single set of chapters. None of the chapters make sense. I don't know if this is a Rick and Morty situation where I'm just too stupid to understand it, and if so, okay, that's fine. I don't want to understand it because I was so bored, confused, annoyed, not interested. The art's okay. It's a little scratchy and not the typical pretty, which I can handle. I like different art styles, but I wanted to like it. I really did. It's short. It's like 1 or 2 volumes, and I could not make myself complete this. I felt like I was reading just a big jumbled mess of ideas that never came to fruition, like someone who was on some type of drug and they were just having fever dream after fever dream after fever dream, and they happen to be connected only very slightly through the same characters. So if you like this series, I'm proud of you and I'm happy for you, but I honestly just have no interest whatsoever in trying that again. This one also is going to get me a lot of hate, especially in the shoujo community, because it is very, very popular. Can you guess what it is? I picked it up one time in a haul and I've never talked about it since. It is Princess Jellyfish. Hear me out, okay? I wanted to like this because it sounded really fun. A bunch of girls who are friends, who are nerds that do the things they do. And I love that it came in these omnibuses. They're very cute, well printed. I even remember seeing clips from the anime back when I was younger, and it seemed very sweet and appealing. I was bored and the characters annoyed me. Some of the girls were very annoying to me, and I don't like how the cross-dressing man was treated. Used as a plot point. I mean, granted, I read a lot of problematic manga and anime, but for some reason I just didn't vibe with this one. It just seemed very boring to me. And I'm sure that it's a great story if I really had the time or energy to get into it, but I can't make myself read it. Maybe I'll try the anime one day. Maybe that would be a better fit for me for this story. I know a lot of people love this series and I'm happy for you, but I don't think I'll ever pick it back up because I just had such an adverse reaction to it, like very initially. That's why I won't be continuing that series. Number 5 is not really a manga, but it is a manga. It's Maximum Ride by James Patterson, and the artist is Na-Rae Lee. I think that's how you say their name. This is one of his novels turned into a manga or graphic novel. The art's okay. I wasn't a huge fan of the art. It's a bigger print manga, so I liked that about it. I got like the first 6 volumes for free from a friend. I did not like it at all. The beginning kind of starts you off in the middle of the book, which I know is kind of like a way of writing regular novels, that then they go back to the beginning so you see how they got to the point that they're in. But even the height point at the beginning that they're trying to snatch you in to go back and tell you the whole story was boring to me. I did not care about any of it, didn't believe they were in as much trouble as they should be. It just didn't grab me like I felt like it should. I think that this story is probably for someone who's already a James Patterson fan or someone who maybe already knows the story. I don't know, but I was bored, and there's a lot of volumes of this series and they probably aren't very cheap. I did not look into how much they cost full price, but I don't recommend it, and I personally will not be continuing it. I regifted those volumes to someone else who I think would enjoy them more than myself. Number 6, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to never pick this one up again. This one still I'm probably going to read again. I just currently have dropped it. That is Sailor Moon by Naoka Takuchi. Sorry, I've never heard anyone say her name. Everyone knows what Sailor Moon is. Everyone knows this art style. You know it's about magical girls. It's one of the older magical girl series. I never liked the anime growing up because the voices really bothered me, and I didn't start it as young as a lot of girls did, so I initially missed that hype. And I was annoyed by Sailor Moon's voice in the old animation. I could not get past it. But I do like certain characters of the series, and I like the aesthetic, and I love the idea of a group of girls who are magical and they fight face crimes and stuff like that. And I like Tuxedo Mask. I love watching people cosplay, but I just, in the manga at least, in the original edition that I read, I don't know if anything's been changed since, I did not believe any of the situations that were happening with Sailor Moon, because like it felt very episodic for me, at least in the beginning volumes that I read. I read like 3 or 4. And it felt like it was like an episode of some Nickelodeon show where they would come up with a problem and then very miraculously a solution would just pop up out of nowhere. Just so happenstance that this person has a magical fortress underneath the arcade that you're in that will help you with this specific situation. And I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like convenient plot point or convenient plot writing. I like things to feel organic and natural and not forced. And that just kind of felt forced to me. Every single time something happened, there was just a conveniently perfect situation for it, instead of her having to figure out a situation and learn how to figure things out for herself. I feel like she should be a smarter character, especially for young girls to read about, and maybe later on that happens, but even the smart characters, I felt like things were happening just too conveniently for them. So that's why I dropped that series. Maybe I'll pick it up again one day when I've taken a little break from it, but for now, No. Number 7 is another popular series, One Punch Man by One. This is a series about a guy who he gets super powerful by just doing push-ups, running, sit-ups, whatever, like a very basic workout routine, which is funny. I like the idea of how silly that sounds, and that he lost all of his hair. And I love the anime, the first season when we watched it years ago, and I loved the beginning of the manga. But I got bored again. I think that I probably won't pick this one up because it is a very long series. That price adds up when I'm not just absolutely in love with it. And maybe it's the fact that I took such a long break between it that made me not interested. I don't know if I'll ever read it. I just don't see how it could keep going for as long as it has. Because it's literally a guy who supposedly can't lose a fight. It's like Superman. Like, I have no interest in a character who is unbeatable, and I don't know how a series can go so long if a character is unbeatable. Like, that seems like a 5-volume series max to me. Then the trope has just worn itself out. Number 8 is My Girlfriend's a Geek by Pen Tabu. I think that is a online pen name from a blog. This series was created, I don't remember how many volumes it is, but it's very short. It was created from like a blog series someone wrote, and they turned it into a manga. I love the concept. I love the idea of a guy with a geeky girlfriend. She's like fujoshi, nerdy, just a dork. And I identify with that, of course, but it was very problematic. I read it years ago. I had the first 3 volumes that were gifted to me from someone, and I loved it back then. It was great, but it definitely has not aged well. It has a lot of very old language, a lot of offensive language, so if you're sensitive to those kind of things, I don't recommend trying this one. But if they don't bother you and you're interested in the plot, I recommend it enough. It was cute back then, and I like the idea of her being kind of the dirty one who instigated some of the gross plot points, but then it also had points of her manipulating him that I didn't like. At your own risk if you're curious, but I personally lost all interest in it after trying to reread it years later. Will not be continuing, and I did regift my volumes to someone who enjoyed it more than I did. Number 9 is Way of the House Husband. This is a newer series. Kyosuke Ono. I loved the first volume. I read this digitally. I read an arc of it from NetGalley, I think, and it was so funny and so cute and sweet, and I loved the homemakiness and how different it was. I was turned off by the anime. Completely awful animation. You can fight me on that. I love unique animation, but I felt like I was just reading a manga, and I would rather just read the manga than watch an anime reading the manga. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people loved it. That's great. Happy for you, but I didn't care for it, and I've heard that the manga is just very repetitive, episodic, the same thing over and over. It doesn't really get into like a story. Oh, my cat. I just noticed he's there. Bless you. Bless you. Don't sneeze on my manga. I got bored. Don't care to continue, but I know a lot of people love this series, and it's fairly new, so I'm glad y'all like it. And number 10 is also sort of not a manga, but is a manga. It's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. It's a only 2-volume series so far. I don't know why it's so slowly being made, but the art's cute and everything, and the story's okay. I just lost interest because it took so long for volume 2 to come out, and I have no interest in picking it back up. I've got the first volume digitally to read an arc of, and maybe that's a curse that I should no longer do, read the first volume of something and then try to go continue it. I was bored, and I think that the story is very blah and basic, so maybe the novel is better. If you like Rainbow Rowell, consider this. It's a very easy way to transition into manga, I think, so I don't think it's a bad series probably. I just don't care enough about it to keep going, you know what I mean? But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to subscribe and like this video. It helps me know what kinds of content you guys like to see. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!